Sorry, one's if you guys have seen that video, two's if you haven't seen it. Oh my god, there are people who haven't seen it. Wait. Oh, dude, I love a good some more news video. Are rich people okay? No, rich people have brain illness. We can play a little bit of it. I'm a big some more news simp. I'm not gonna lie. I love this page. They do such a really, they do an amazing job researching the videos, organizing them. A few too many weird jokes, but honestly, I think it kind of comes with the territory of like producing a John Oliver type of show. You just start putting furry jokes in. I think it's like legally, you have to. I don't know.
Greetings, jerks. Boy, oh boy, don't you all look eager today with your gaping mouths all tonguing the air, desperate for a few drops of my news? Well, get ready, schmucks, because here's some news. I am really sorry about coming in so hot just now. Just to level with you, I recently came into a bunch of money, and I guess I'm just feeling a tad bit cocky, you know? It's kind of wild how just a little bit of wealth does that. Like, I spat on my neighbor's cat this morning. Don't worry, the cat loved it, but this got me thinking. Hey now, have you ever noticed that rich people seem to be a little off? And no, I'm not just talking about this guy. I mean, I'm kind of talking about that guy, but not just that guy. Because the Duke of Interesting Looking Into It isn't the only rich person who has taken the word eccentric to an extremely unsettling level. And not just one or two of them, but most.
Sorry, the Cybertruck video, I found it. For those of you who haven't seen it. Are there really people who haven't seen it? Like, one's if you've seen this, two's if you haven't. I can't believe there are people who haven't seen this one. It's so good. Oh my god. I'm so excited.
Dude, look at this Cybertruck. Oh my. Uh-oh. Oh, that's radio.
Yoshi leaking.
I don't even know. What is that? Oh, that's
Windshield wiper fluid.
Oh, they have fluid like.
Now, I don't know if these people bought this car just to ruin it, just to show that it's a piece of shit car, or if this guy actually up and he broke his new Tesla. But what the f is wrong with your dog shit car that it just starts leaking the second it collides with anything? Oh my god, you're Saren, did your main get banned or something? Or are you just on an alt or some shit? That's not funny. Cars only do that when they're extremely stressed. Oh my god, this photo. Yes, keep bringing it back. All right. Okay, enough of that. Wait, I want to take a peek into this new, man, Bernie looks, I love Bernie with all my heart. I am a Bernie bro to my core, but he looks tough in this. I think he's been going through it a little bit. Getting kind of old, yeah.
Thanks very much for joining me. We are living in a dangerous...
But then again, like, look at, you guys have seen what Noam Chomsky looks like. It's the burden of like constantly being right and constantly trying your best to fight weighs on you a little bit. Compared to Mitch McConnell. Okay, Mitch McConnell's literally rotting, okay? That's what being evil does to you, okay? When you're evil, you just start to rot. When you're good, you just start to look tired because you've spent so much of your life fighting.
Unprecedented moment in American history. And I'm getting a lot of calls from people who are not only upset about what's happening, but are wondering how we best go forward. Well, let me tell you, we've got to be smart, we've got to be organized, and we've got to fight back. This is not a time for wallowing in despair and hiding under the covers. The stakes are just too high. We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for our kids, for future generations. We're fighting for the future of this planet. In the first 2 weeks of his presidency, Donald Trump defied the Constitution by ending birthright citizenship, fired government watchdogs, allowed drilling along our coastlines, pardoned violent insurrectionists, suspended all foreign aid, and tried to cut off virtually all federal funding. So, how do we go forward? First, to be effective, we've got to understand what, in fact, is happening around us right now. Second, we need a short-term strategy. What do we do tomorrow and the next day and the day after that? Third, we need a long-term strategy. How do we build a movement that gains political power? Here is, in my view, a brief overview as to what is happening under Trump. Most importantly, the move toward oligarchy in our country. Government run by the rich and the powerful is proceeding rapidly. And it's not being done secretly. A little over a week ago, Donald Trump was inaugurated for his second term. standing right behind them were the three richest men in the world, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. Men who have become over $200 billion richer since Trump was elected and who now are worth almost $1 trillion more money than the bottom half of American society, 170 million people. But it's not just oligarchy that we should worry about. This country under Trump is moving rapidly toward authoritarianism. Just a few examples. In violation of the Constitution and federal law, Trump attempted the other day to suspend all federal grants and loans. That means he blocked funding for Medicaid, Head Start, food stamps, homeless veterans, etc., etc. Tens of millions of Americans, some of the most vulnerable people in our country, were impacted by that decision. Fortunately, Americans all across the country stood up in outrage and said no, no. And with the help of the courts, much, but not all of that freeze in funding was rescinded. You may have noticed that Trump is intimidating the media with lawsuits against ABC, CBS, Meta, and the Des Moines Register. If Trump does not like what media reports, he is threatening them with lawsuits, undermining the First Amendment. That is a direct movement toward authoritarianism. Now, that's a very broad overview of where we are today. In terms of short-term strategy, we've got to mobilize as strongly as we can against Trump's dangerous proposals. And let me just say this, importantly. Yes, the Republicans control the House and the Senate, but do not forget their majorities are small. In the House, a body of 435 members, they have a 4-vote majority. That is a razor-thin margin, and their legislation can be defeated. There are a number of Republicans out there who won in Democratic districts by small margin. So let me tell you, these guys do respond to phone calls and emails. So if there's a piece of legislation you disagree with, get on the phone and call the Capitol switchboard at 202-224-2131. And what is some of that legislation that we should be concerned about? Republicans right now are working on what's called a budget reconciliation bill. The most important element, which would be a massive tax break for the wealthy, to be paid for by large cuts in Medicaid and other programs that working families and low-income people desperately need. At a time of unprecedented income and wealth inequality, when so many of our people are struggling to put food on the table, we must not savage programs for working families to provide huge tax breaks for billionaires. We must vigorously oppose Trump's efforts at mass deportation. Yes, we must strengthen our borders. Yes, we should deport people who have been convicted of serious crimes. But no, we cannot.
How am I supposed to lose hope for this country when Bernie exists, dude? When he's been fighting this fight so much longer than I have.
Destroy families who have lived and worked in this country peacefully for decades. Not only is Trump's mass deportation program immoral, it will have a severely negative impact on our economy. As all of you know, we are seeing extreme weather disturbances and devastation in our country and all over the world related to climate change. Think about LA, think about North Carolina. We must vigorously oppose this absurd drill, baby, drill doctrine, which will only make an incredibly dangerous climate situation even worse. And those are just a few of the issues that are coming down the pike. But we cannot just play defense. We have got to be on the offense. Please never forget that the agenda that we are fighting for is widely supported by working families all across this country, and we must continue to fight for that agenda. The American people do not want cuts to Medicaid and the privatization of Medicare. They understand that health care is a human right, not a privilege. We must continue the struggle for Medicare for all so that every American has the health care that he or she needs. That's not a radical idea. That's what Americans want. Federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour is a starvation wage. We must raise that minimum wage to a living wage, at least $17 an hour. If you work 40 hours a week in America, you should not be living in poverty. All over this country, we have a major housing crisis, and it's not just 800,000 who are homeless.
I don't mean to be that person, okay? I really don't mean to be that person, but can I just say, first of all, $15 was a reasonable wage a decade ago. Pretending like $15 an hour is a reasonable wage now, depending on your city or state, of course, $15 an hour might genuinely be enough to not live paycheck to paycheck. Again, depending on where you live, where the cost of living is a little bit smaller. But I know he said 17. Okay, 17. But like, man, I don't know how you can think that anything below 20 is reasonable. He said at minimum 17. I mean, I'm not shitting on Bernie. I mean, Bernie's trying to be realistic and trying to push for minimum wage that can potentially happen. I'm sure if Bernie wanted to, or if he unilaterally could make that decision, he would make it $20 an hour. You will never see me shitting on Mr. Bernie. All right. But fuck, dude. I was trying to think of something. Wait. Jobs in Georgia are advertising $8 to $10 an hour. Rent is $1,100 plus, not including utilities, is rough. I don't mean to be that person, but like China is, guys, they're beating our ass. Guys, stop. We're already dead. Do you guys see this report? Chinese home prices are down a massive 7% since 2024. They've been on the downtrend for years now, by the way. But in 1 year, it has already dropped an additional 7%. Home prices can go down? Wait, you guys have home prices going down? Investors are concerned, but new buyers are dipping into the market. Homes are for living in, not for speculation. Home prices going down and being more affordable for young people is the goal of Chinese government. Don't you wish your government would think about you for change? And I've said this a million times, and I will say this a million more times. It is absurd to ever think about housing as a commodity, as an investment. Okay? And I'm not even just saying that as like, dude, it's housing that you need. People should be afforded housing. In 2025, in the richest country in the world, we should be given housing. I'm tired of pretending like this is an extremist position to think that the richest country in the world should be able to house, feed, clothe their people. I'm tired of pretending like that is an absurd opinion. I understand that a lot of countries have had their wealth, stolen from them. I'm looking at you, Europe stealing from Africa. And I understand that a lot of countries don't necessarily have that wealth anymore, or they somehow, in some instances, don't even have the rights to the resources in their country. And when your state's GDP is pennies compared to the United States, no, I don't judge those countries for not being able to house all of their citizens, to be able to feed all of their citizens, to be able to provide medicine or education or clean water to all of its citizens. That's not a fair standard to hold those countries to, right? But the richest country in the world, in the history of the world, can't feed its people. People have to worry about groceries in the richest country in the history of the world. People have to worry about housing. Are you kidding me? It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. No, damn, Tara is good. Laos. I'm Laotian. So what are you, Japanese or That clip lives in my head. It's so good. Chinese home ownership is at 96%. I'm sure the United States is not that far down, right? Haha. It's only 65%. It's only 30% lower. Also, like, something important to note is, whatever, I've made my point. I don't fucking need to keep yapping. I don't need to be a yappa. CIA uncovered Chinese plot to just sit back and enjoy the collapse of the United States. I remember this banger he had earlier about housing and people living in parking lots. Oh, I don't even remember this. This is back when my hair was a lot shorter. Bro, did y'all see this? Dozens of parking lots have opened across the U.S. for working people who earn too little to afford rent, but too much to receive government assistance, and have turned their cars into a form of affordable housing. The audacity to call this affordable housing is just like, I just have no words, man. Living in your car isn't affordable housing. As someone who used to live in a car, sucks and nothing cool about it. If you live out of a car, I wouldn't consider you to be living in affordable housing. I would consider you to be houseless. Literally being homeless. You don't have a home. Yeah, it's like calling a tent on the street a form of affordable housing. It's like, okay, dude. If you don't have an address, then you are considered houseless. You need an address for like most things, for like getting a job or receiving mail or any of that shit. Yeah. Haha, no, the parking lots are offering affordable housing. Ha 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 ha. Why are you so red in that clip? Okay, listen, okay? Look, it took me a while to sort out my lighting, okay? That clip is like 2 years old. Okay, I'm doing my best. Doing my best. Trying. Why did I start speaking in like a vaguely southern accent for that? Okay, anyways. Homes are for living in. Oh, sorry. Right. They're also, besides the fact that people should be able to be afforded housing because people need housing, and the richest country in the world should be able to afford you housing, they're also not a good investment property. Like, as far as investments go, housing is a pretty shit investment. Like, put aside for a second the fact that, like, we shouldn't even be viewing homes as investments, that, like, you buy a house and you expect it to go up in price. We shouldn't even be thinking about that for a second. Just, like, ignore that. They're not good investments. Look at East Palisades. Look at, East Palestine in Ohio? Look at North Carolina. Like, you have an investment that is a giant property that is easily destroyed by Mother Nature is not a good investment. All of Florida, that stuff is pretty predictable. Yeah, but it being predictable doesn't mean shit because you can't move your house. Like, I hate to say it, but like, there are a lot. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to go that far because it's going into Alex Jones territory and that's too far for me. Do you know how bad it is when natural disasters make, I will say it, gold look like a better investment? They're not literally a better investment. Please do not buy gold. Please do not take this as me meaning that you should buy gold and that's a good investment. That's not a good investment. Please, I'm being hyperbolic. I'm joking around a little bit. Please, one joke as a concept. It's just as a possibility, all right? But like, Ohio, representing my friend, has to move after the EP derailment, lives with friends now. Like, you can't really necessarily prepare for that. Predictable. Anyone remember 2008? Well, that was like a housing bubble crisis. I'm talking about natural disasters, but yes, I agree with you. Jokes on the internet are a bad investment. You're not wrong. Okay, I've made nothing. I've made nothing off of jokes. They've only gotten me in trouble, all right? You make one joke, okay? You make one bounty joke, and then... Anyways. No, it's just, it's homes are not really great investments, and honestly, it's a lie that we've been told for ages so that housing can be considered a speculative market. There's a reason that most Americans believe this. I mean, I believed it for a very long time. There's a reason most people believe this to be a good investment. Because guess what? There is a benefit to allowing Americans to believe this, to making Americans think that actually housing should be, one, all right, but two, affordable. And it should not be a commodity. This is completely backwards. Homeownership is still the best way to develop intergenerational wealth in the United States. These select examples do not represent the majority of homeownership. I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but you're wrong. You can compare housing indexes to, honestly, just like the S&P and find that the housing market consistently always underperforms general markets. This statement is wrong. One, it shouldn't be a speculative investment property. Two, it's a shit investment property. You're coming off as what some might say borderline socialist. Oh God. Is that including the rent you're saving? Yes. But anyways, I don't want to get too deep into the conversation because every once in a while we have one of these conversations. But TLDR, Vienna public housing is what we should aspire to have. All right? That's what we should aspire to have. Not this Airbnb flipping properties garbage, okay? It's not what we should have. I just looked it up, you're right. I mean, yeah. The reason why I know this is because I used to think this. I used to think housing was a good investment. And then, like, I was, like, in shock and disbelief. I was, like, coping about it for a while. I was like, this chart doesn't mean anything. And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Very clearly, it outperforms. Like, this is stupid. This is dumb. It's just the problem is that people don't want to believe that housing is a bad investment because renting in America sucks. It sucks dick, okay? Renting in America is awful. It's so, so bad. But that's because Americans haven't experienced good renting. And good renting in this instance would be something like Vienna social housing or public housing. Denims, I'm a frequent viewer. I trust your opinion on so many things. The other day I saw that there were allegations against Hassan that he's a socialist. Now, I always thought he was an American patriot who loved his country, aka liberal. Please tell me what's going on. I'm very scared. I love you, Joe the Human. Yes. Oh, yes. God bless. What's worse, landlords or HOA? Yes. I'm tempted to say HOA, but that's only because I've had management that has sometimes done stuff. And I think it's a personal preference thing also, because, like, there's something sickening about an HOA telling you you're not allowed to have your hedges a certain size or paint your door a certain color. Like, there's something more offensive about that. Not offensive in like the woke way or whatever, but offensive in like the offensive to my senses. Like, it's my house. What do you mean I can't paint the door blue? What? This is bullshit. This is so stupid. This is dumb. That makes me, you know, yeah, HOA is just like, it feels like it just, all of it feels like a scam. Like just, HOAs should only do one thing, okay?
Dennis Quake, marry, kill Elon, landlords, and HOAs.
Mods, you can ban them. Like, I'm not answering that. You can get that answer from my cold, dead body. All right. How about this one? The maintenance manager at my job is also the head of his neighborhood's HOA. How could you put so much evil in one man? Oh my God, dude. Oh, can't speak with the dead? Yeah, maybe if you don't have speak with dead. Maybe if you can't cast it. Idiot, dumbass, just cast it. Sorry. Landlords can evict you, but HOAs can force a foreclosure on your home. Yeah, I mean, there are literally instances of, the John Oliver video is really good on this, but there are instances of HOAs taking people's homes. The worst that the landlord can do is evict you, which, like, to be fair, you didn't own that place anyway, so at least you didn't lose your home. HOAs can, depending on the circumstances, literally take your home. That's not to downplay eviction, by the way. We're comparing two things that are on, like, a level of 10 of evil. Like, these are evil things, okay? These are demons, people. But, yeah. How to keep your house. Own a house. The rich will take everything else away from you until you have to sell. What is this? Is this just like, you should buy a house? Okay. Moving on. Sorry, I was trying to finish a point, chat. Anyways, yeah, HOAs just, there's something about them that feels particularly evil. I hate HOAs. The only thing that HOAs were ever supposed to monitor ever was like noise control. Like, that's it. Like, maybe on work days, no loud partying after, I don't know, midnight. Sorry, I'm a grandma. I feel like that's the only one that would be valid. That was the only one that would have been valid. But that's not what they were made for. And that's never what they've been for. And they've always been for extracting wealth. So I'm not allowed to even pretend like they could ever be for good. This is crazy, by the way. This is like insane to me. HOAs originally made to keep black people out. I mean, yeah, they are also just like awful in every other way. There's nothing that they do that's good. My HOA had people driving around in a car taking pictures of my trash can. If I didn't take it back in the next day, I would get a fine. All right, let's finish this video. One second, I'm grabbing a little water.
It is millions of working families who are spending 40, 50, 60% of their limited incomes on housing. Instead of spending almost $1 trillion a year on a wasteful and bloated Pentagon budget, we have got to build millions of units of low-income and affordable housing. And when we do that, we put large numbers of people to work at good-paying union jobs. I could go on, but let me conclude by saying this. The United States is the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. If we stand together and oppose right-wing efforts to divide us up by our race, by our religion, our sexual orientation, or where we were born, if we stand together, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. Bottom line, let us go forward and fight for a government and an economy that works for all, not just a few. We simply do not have the luxury of moaning and groaning. We have got to stand up and fight back. We can do it. Let's go forward together. Thank you very much.
This is why I always push for people to get involved in mutual aid or their local DSA chapters. Because even if you can't enact real, like, massive political change, or even though none of us can have the power and control that Elon Musk has, you can implement real change and real good in your local community. And that's very feasible. Dreidel Champ, thank you for the prime. I think he's trying to avoid a sense of defeatism, but I still think he gave the Dems too much credit in that video. Yeah, I mean, don't get me started on that shit, dude, man. Christ. Notice how he isn't talking about creating the most lethal military? Hey, is this guy even a politician? Where's the fear-mongering, bro? What the hell? What if we preserve Bernie's head Futurama style and make him president for life? I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening. Yeah. No, I don't think Michelle Obama is going to ever run for office. Dude, we can't even get a woman in office. I promise you, one of the most famously transvestigated women is not holding office. That's not happening. This country is too racist. My boss swears she's going to run for office in 2028. Listen, maybe I'm wrong, dude. Okay. You know what, dude? Listen, I'll fart on stream or something if I'm wrong. All right? If I'm a fool. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think she's not interested in political candidacy, okay? I don't think she's interested in that at all.